Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Hey guys. Whoops. I'm just trying to monitor this.
All right. So we want to welcome you guys here tonight, and we're going to get going in just a minute. If you have comments, you can drop them in the comment section. Hey, Jara, how are you doing? Turn that sound down. So maybe we should do the housekeeping stuff at the end, since usually there's more people on at the end. What do you think?
We could do that.
Or do you want to do it now? And
Doesn't
then we'll
matter.
see it on the recording.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go ahead and we'll cover some housekeeping items.
All right. As you know, this month is double points for the consultants. So instead of 25 points, you're going to get 50 points. So I hope that you've strategized with your team or with your accountability partner how you're going to do this. So I want to see as many of you get to Dominican Republic as possible. So I hope that you guys will strategize and get this done, get as many points as possible.
And here's the thing, you're saying, I want to see as many of you as possible. It's possible for every single person on this call.
It really is.
And everyone who watches the recording, because it is totally doable for anyone if you work at it consistently.
Yep. So excited to have you guys on tonight. Also, Scottsdale, Arizona, the regional event is happening this Saturday, and I will be there. And so I am excited to see those of you that are coming to the Scottsdale regional event. Should be a great one.
Yep, it will be. I wish I could be there, but hopefully I'm hoping to go to the one in Canada. We're going to try and work out to be able to go to that one. But Lisa went to Florida a couple of weeks ago, and now Scottsdale this week. So if you're, I would say within a 4 or 5 hour drive, you should be there.
Yeah.
It will be worth it. Even longer. If you want to drive further than that, that's fine. But if you're within a few hours, there's no excuse, because it is so important to your business to attend events like this. You're going to learn so much.
Yep. And Julie, I know that you're going to be there, so I'm excited to see you. And I know you're driving over from New Mexico. So see, it just, she is investing in her business, and I love to see that in my team members. So
and she got a consultant signed up last
week,
right?
Did.
Congratulations,
She sure did.
Julie. That's awesome.
Anyway, we're excited for you, Julie, that you're on your way. Once you get one under your belt, it's so much easier. But just you have to kind of break through that glass ceiling for the first one. And but I'm glad you totally did the happy dance and you patted yourself on the back, because that's what it's all about.
Yep. Awesome. Well, this week we told you we're going to kind of wrap up the Miracle Morning. I feel like a little bit like we've been beating a dead horse, because this is what, week 4, week 3 or 4, but we just think it's that important. And although the daily routine of the Miracle Morning, what they call savers, is super important and really can make a difference in your life and your business, what we're going to talk about today is what he calls, Hal, the author, calls the miracle life. And he wrote the book originally several years back, and then he did a new edition, came out recently, and he added 2 chapters at the end of the book. And those 2 chapters are the miracle life. So Lisa originally read the book last fall.
Yes.
And it didn't have that part in it. And then I got the book, I got the newer version, and it had these 2 chapters. So Lisa went back and read them, and it's really powerful. And we're going to just share some slides here so you can kind of see. And it's what he calls the ABCs of a miracle life. Do you remember what the A stands for?
Let me check my notes. And
actually, you know what? Before we do that, let's talk. We'll get into that. Let's just talk about the Miracle Morning in general. So you like this. You're the one that told me, picked out this today.
So as I was just kind of reading it today and covering it, and he talks about these 2 things. The Miracle Morning is a practice of personal development. And as you know, we've been hitting hard on personal development those last couple of years with 12 pillars and then now the Miracle Morning. This is actually, I love this a little bit more because it's very actionable. Wake up early, write in your journal, do your exercise, do your meditations, your affirmations, your visualization. And that is a mouthful. And I love that there's these actionable steps that we can take first thing in the morning and back up your day a couple hours so you can fit all this in. But it has made a world of difference for Jeff and I. But he says that is the practice of the Miracle Morning is personal development. You are working on yourself. But he says the miracle life is a model for personal fulfillment. And we're going to get into that.
Yep.
Because think about that, development and fulfillment.
Yep. So this is something, he talks about some concepts, but he says that this doesn't change your circumstances. It's a complete transformation of how you experience your circumstances. So we all have things currently going on in our lives and in our past that affect how we experience life.
Absolutely.
And what he talks about is this state of consciousness called inner freedom. And it really has been powerful for me to work on for the last, I'm now a little over 2 months that I've been working on this concept of inner freedom. And really the difference between what a state of consciousness is a way of experiencing life. And what gets in the way of our inner freedom is inner turmoil. That's the obstacle. And it keeps us from experiencing that inner freedom. And
so let's give him an example of what that might be. So he gave an example in his life. I'll just share with that. When he was in that head-on collision and he woke up from a 30-day coma and he was still alive and really he couldn't talk, he couldn't walk. All he could do is choose his attitude about this situation he was in. And so many times in our life, we are in a situation where we're mad, we're upset, it's not ideal, we're stressed, and we get to choose how we navigate those waters. We can either be bummed and depressed and sad and full of anxiety, or we can just choose to, I'm not happy about this, but I can choose to be a happy person.
Mm-hmm.
Go walking through that challenge.
Yeah.
We all have adversity in our life and it's all going to come to us. So it's how you navigate and it's choosing your attitude and it's choosing to be happy.
Really, I think it's kind of about victimhood.
Yes.
So if you are allowing that inner turmoil to determine how you experience life, then you're really acting as a victim. And I read a book recently where he said, I don't know any successful victims. Okay, because it holds you back. It keeps you from becoming the person that you want to be the best version of yourself.
Now, I also have to say with that, there are many times where we lose a loved one and there is time to mourn. And he acknowledges that there are big things in our life. But if somebody cuts us off on the freeway, get over it. Let's just move on. But he acknowledges that we're going to have big things we have to deal with. And for sure, you need time to mourn, especially the loss of somebody in your life.
Yep. So this state of consciousness, inner freedom, it is really the opposite of, or not the opposite, but it's very different from emotions. Emotions are they're very reactionary. How we react to the external forces, the things that are happening in our life. State of consciousness is a way of being, a way of experiencing life. And then we get to choose the emotions that we feel in those circumstances. So it's a big difference. And here's something he says that I think is really powerful. Dwelling on negative emotions such as guilt, shame, fear, or anger causes us to suffer unnecessarily and miss out on states like love, happiness, peace, gratitude, and joy. So when you're upset or guilty or afraid or angry or whatever it is, it gets in the way of experiencing things the way that we want to experience.
Right.
them.
And I think he's definitely talking here about negative emotions of guilt, shame, fear, and anger that you really don't have control. Like it's a situation where it's not in your control, but it's happening to you. And so he's just saying, you are missing out on opportunities to be happy, to be joyful, to be grateful when you're so swallowed up in all the negative.
And it could be, it doesn't have to be negative. It could be, let's say that it's a fear of going out and doing a home party, right?
Sure,
or doing
sure.
an expo and talking to people, or just a fear of talking to someone you know about the business. Well, having that fear control you, you miss out on the experience of possibly having that person join, and the joy of that you could have of having a partner in the business and working with them and the relationships you could develop and all those kinds of things. So it doesn't have to be the negative. It can be just something we're afraid of.
Sure.
Fear-based.
Right.
There's all kinds of things in our past, but I think the bottom line is not letting the things, not reacting to things, but determining how you're going to react.
Right.
Being in a state of consciousness where you let go of those things, you don't hold on to them, and you overcome them.
And many times we're having a discussion, and we're having a discussion about something we can't control, and we say to each other, "What?
Can't change it.
Can't change it."
Yep.
And we have to, and we let that emotion just go. And it's been so good for our relationship. And it's been good for just our overall happiness, because we choose not to hold on to the negative emotions that we used to, and we used to dwell on it. And we just kind of give ourselves the hall pass to just let that go.
Yep. So let's talk about what the Miracle Life is. He breaks it down into, he's big on acronyms. This one, he's got the savers, the slumbers, and now the ABCs of a miracle life.
Right.
So A is accept life exactly as it is. So again, like we've been talking about, things that you're out of your control, just accept it. Don't be upset about it. And if you are upset about it, what he suggests, go ahead and feel that for a very short period of time. He gives himself 5 minutes. He has a 5-minute rule. If something upsets him that's out of his control, he lets whatever feelings come to the surface for 5 minutes, and then he says, can't change it. And then he lets go of it and moves on.
So when I'm bugging Jeff and he knows I'm bugging him, he has to let that negative emotion go instead of just having it wallow in it.
It's been, something I've really had to work on.
So we all have relationships where we both can let things go. And be happier.
So that's the A. Accept life exactly how it is. Don't, and it might be things happening right now. It might be things in your upbringing or something way in the past that's holding you back, that is affecting you. So whatever it is, whether it's past, present, whatever, just accept it exactly as it is. Then the B is be grateful for each moment. I didn't write this down, but if I can remember, he says that gratitude, what does he say about gratitude? It's like gratitude is the key that unlocks the door to happiness.
Yeah.
If we can be, even when we're experiencing difficult things, like Lisa said, it doesn't mean we have to be happy about it, but we can be grateful for the experience. Another thing Hal talks about is he had cancer. He's had a lot of rough things happen to him. He was in this head-on car accident when he was like 20 or 21.
Yeah.
And then just in the last few years, he was diagnosed with, I think it was lymphoma, right?
Yeah.
And really, I mean, they didn't think he was going to make it, but he pulled through. But he had this attitude that no matter what, I'm grateful to be going through this experience, because when I get out on the other side, I'm going to be able to help more people. And so whatever our circumstances, no matter how bad it seems, we can be grateful for it, because we're going to learn things. We're going to become a better person from having gone through it. So really, I think that's a big one. One of the things that I do now when I do get upset about something is I try to think what I'm grateful for.
Right.
And that it's hard to be upset or angry or feel negative emotions if you're feeling grateful.
Right. And Julie says lots of positive things come out of negative experiences. We grow through negative experiences. You're right. We learn so much about ourselves. But if we can have that grateful heart, that serving heart we talked about on Sandy's call, the success circle we were talking about, we choose our happiness, and we often choose to serve when we need something to do besides sit and think about this thing that's got us upset. So very good.
Yep. Yep. And then the C is choose my optimal state of consciousness. So in my morning affirmations, one of the things I say is, I choose the state of consciousness I choose is inner freedom. And because if you're in the state of inner freedom, it means that you get to decide how you feel about everything that's happening in your life. So if something is difficult, an illness or a job loss or whatever it is, if you're grateful, if you feel grateful for it, then you get to choose how you experience, right? You can be angry and upset, but if
Right.
you choose the state of being, your state of consciousness, then you can choose the emotions that you're experiencing rather than just reacting to the circumstances.
Yes. And we've got Snowbird who says, make the most of every moment. Choose to find the positive in any situation. That is so true, but so hard to do. But it's so true. Like we should look for the positive when we're feeling, feeling so. Sometimes we feel negative, or we feel hurt, or we feel all those emotions. But I love this, the choosing this, the optimal state of consciousness.
Yep. It's very easy, or it's very difficult to be positive about things when you're in the middle of something difficult. But usually, like a lot of people have pointed out, when you're through it, you can look back and see what you learned and how you grew. So I think the challenge is to try to do that more in the moment, rather than waiting until you pass through it and having all those emotions happening while you're passing through difficult things. And then on the other side, looking back and say, oh, actually, I learned this and this and this from it. Try to do that while you're in the moment. And I think that, like I said, the key that unlocks the door to that is gratitude. If you can try to think what you're grateful for in the midst of these difficult times, then I think it's going to be easier to see the positives in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
I agree with that. He says in the book, choose your attitude. It's one of the only things that you can choose sometimes in the midst of adversity and challenges, is choose your attitude and choose how you will experience each and every moment. And that is so true, 100%. We get to choose our happiness. We get to choose our attitude. Make it be a good one.
Yep. I was looking for something here. He said gratitude is the doorway to happiness.
Yeah.
And
that's why, writing in our journals on the scribing part of the savers is so important, to write down 3 things every day that you're grateful for, and or 3 people that you're grateful for. And it just helps you, and it reminds your mind that you're in the state of gratitude.
Yep. Well, anything else to add on this?
I think that's it.
Yeah, this was kind of short and sweet, but we just kind of wanted to wrap things up with this Miracle Life idea, because it really has helped us. Just to share an example, a few weeks back, we have our family, all of our kids and grandkids over every other Sunday. And a few weeks back, one of our sons and his family weren't going to come. And then at the last minute, we'd prepared all the food, and half an hour before it was to start, my other son texted us and said, hey, we're not going to come either. Our kids decided they want to go to their cousin's house. And Lisa and I immediately felt like, well, geez, how do you think that makes us feel? Our grandkids would rather go to their cousin's house on the other side than come to our house. And we were feeling all these emotions, right?
Yeah, we had prepared all this food, and we thought all this food is going to go to waste, but we had to completely just cut it off and enjoy.
But hang on, we'll get to that. But
Okay.
We did feel
for
about 5 minutes, we were both like, how could they do this last minute? Why wouldn't they let us know earlier? And when we had kids, if they said, no, we want to go to our cousins, we would have said, no, we're going to grandma and grandpa's house. That's what we planned on. So there were all these feelings and emotions.
Yep.
And then after about 5 minutes, we both said, can't
Let it
change
go.
it.
Yep.
We said, can't change it. And
And I remember thinking, I'm going to enjoy the people that are here, that are coming to the party. I'm going to enjoy them and not even worry about the other two that decided not to come. So
but I think what happened was our son and his family, who said they weren't going to come at the last minute, I think they maybe felt a little bit of guilt, and they stopped by for about half an hour on their way to the cousin's house. And if we had let those feelings, if we had held on to those feelings, it would have been a really negative thing when they got here.
Yeah.
We might have said something that we would regret later. But we enjoyed them for the time that we had them,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And because we had already made the decision that we couldn't control it. We had already let go of it. And then when they showed up in unexpectedly, it was like, oh, that's a bonus.
Yeah.
And we enjoyed the time that we had with them. So that was, and we've had probably almost on a daily basis, there's something where I feel the way I normally would react to it. And I could tell you stories about the one with the rental car the last weekend. I mean, all right, I'll just tell you a story about the rental car. So we went to California for Lisa's birthday last weekend. I kind of surprised her with this trip. And we rented a car, and the car we rented was a Tesla, which was kind of fun.
And we know nothing about Teslas, just FYI.
Yeah, like trying to figure the thing out. And the rental car place didn't tell us anything. They're
Nothing.
just like, here you go.
Here you go.
Here's the key. And the key is like just a credit card thing. And it's like, okay, what do we do with this? And so anyway, the second day in, it was raining really hard and it was kind of humid. And we were parked in underground parking, and I was backing up, and the cameras, it has cameras all the way around that show you every angle, but they were kind of foggy and kind of hazy. I couldn't see very well. And I backed right into another car. Big truck, backed into the bumper. And fortunately it didn't do anything to that car, but it put a pretty nice scrape and stuff in the back corner bumper of the Tesla. So immediately I'm upset. Why did I do that? How could I be so stupid? This is going to cost me all kinds of money, blah, blah, blah. So I felt those emotions for about 5 minutes. And then I just said to myself, I can't change it. I can't change what happened. And normally this kind of thing, how would I normally react on
He would
like
be
this?
upset for the whole trip.
Yeah.
Like this would have ruined our trip.
Yeah. So, but I immediately just let it go and said, you know what? Worst case scenario is I got to pay for a new bumper. But the next day after I had, we went along and enjoyed our trip. The next day I thought, you know what? I looked at it and it looked more like scuffs than scrapes. I thought, I'm going to see if I can get those things out. So I went to Target and I bought a magic eraser. I got it wet and I rubbed it out, and it took everything out except one little scrape about 2 inches long and maybe 1/8 of an inch wide, and nothing else on the bumper. And so anyway, we returned it. They inspected the car. They didn't say anything. So it all worked out good. But literally, in the way I normally would have reacted, it would have ruined the trip, at least for me, and maybe I would have
probably
made it
for me
miserable
too.
So anyway, that's just another example. I could go on and on, because really this is something that I have applied on a daily basis.
Yeah.
It's made a big difference for me.
And Hal tells a story. He was in direct sales. He was with Cutco, and he tells of the experience, and just reminded me of the good old party days when I used to do tastings. But what happened was he scheduled an appointment with this lady who was going to buy knives, and he traveled some kind of distance, long distance, like maybe half an hour to 45 minutes to get to her house. And when he got to her house, there is a note on the door that says, "We don't want your knives." And he is so bummed out. Like, why couldn't she call me?
And
why?
The backstory is he was trying to hit a sales goal.
He was trying to hit a sales
be
goal.
The top salesman for the month, and it was the second to last day of the month.
Yeah.
Right.
And so he decided, I can't change this. I'm bummed about this. And then he said, let it go. So he let it go. And he knew the next morning he had to get to work, and he landed a $2,300 sale the next day, and it put him over his limit, and he was so happy. But it just, that happened to me so many times, that you're so frustrated. Here you come with all your food and everything ready for the tasting, and then
And
note on
have
the
you ever had a
door.
note on the door?
Oh yeah, note on the door. Sorry, we had to change plans. And so yeah, I wish I had read that book back in the day, because it would have been helpful, because I would just drive home so mad, and it would just ruin my evening. So anyway, just thought I'd give you a couple situations where you can definitely, your personality, and so it's just better to just let it go and have a, like with our trip, it was either going to be ruined for the rest of the time, or he had learned this skill and had been practicing it. I was so grateful. So I know that this book has just been really transformative for us. I hope you guys will, pick it up and read it. It's just one of those great books.
Yeah, I can honestly say, from all the personal development books I've read in my life, which is a lot, this one is one that'll stick with me for the rest of my life. I can guarantee you the things that I've changed, changes I've made, the routines that I've started, I will never stop because of the difference that has made for me.
Yeah.
So I can't recommend it highly enough. If you haven't already got the book, get it, read it, implement it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's the last we're going to say on it. We may mention it again, but we're not going to do a full.
We have another book in mind that we're going to get. We've got lots of books.
More.
So anyway, so grateful that you guys tuned in tonight. Hopefully some of this has been beneficial and helpful for you. We look forward to seeing you that are going to be at Scottsdale. I'll be there. Can't wait to see all of you. So have a great evening.
Yep. And get on the newbie call if you've joined in the last. Isn't that tonight? No, that's not. Oh, we had it in our calendar, but it's actually next week. Never mind. All right. We will talk to you next week.
Okay. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.